Hey, just starting a few minutes early because why not? So when people get on and it's 4 o'clock, start talking. Bunch of stuff to talk about. All of it really good. Well, almost. You can never say all is always really good. Not when you have as many items to talk about as we do. Hey, Pyrotron. Doing fine. I mean, look, just getting through this Corona world. Oh, those glasses are nice and crooked. That's great. Let's see if I can fix that. Makes me look. There we go. That's better. Hey, Trivial. Hey, David. Yeah, but anyway, Pyro. Yeah, doing good. Look, waiting to get back in the office like so many of us. It's been interesting streaming from home and working from home and doing more work from home. But it'll be good to be in the office. Hey, Neerd Smith. Welcome. Don't recognize the name. But yeah, starting a little early. Got a lot to talk about. Whole bunch of things. Typically, even though for a mid-month update, lots of stuff. Usually hiding in the shadows. Hey, hi, abducted. How are you? Hope everyone here is good. Hope you're getting through, again, Corona world intact. Hiya, fictitiousman. Oh, fictitiousman. Good. I like that. Took me a second. Hey, Riley. Good to see you as usual. Sintita. Sup. Me. Trivial. I declare one spirit mages in the game. Yeah. Hey, Kenny. So, yeah, like I said, we're going to have a good stream today. Lots of good things. Swiper, it's going just fine. I mean, look, as you guys who've been hearing me stream since the beginning of all this, I'm not going to complain. You know, there are people in this world who are really, suffering, and I am not going to complain about things. So it's all good. Yeah, going back into the office is somewhat scary. I mean, look, we're going to get masks, and we're going to try to be really, careful. Virginia cases are finally, starting to go down, so that's a good sign. The governor just said, "Hey, phase two," and Andrew and I said, "Hey, we don't care. We're still not opening yet. Data's data." And we're gonna, wait a couple more weeks before we make a call, to really go in. Happy Friday to you, the one and only. All right, since it's now 4:01, let's get this started. So, a lot of things to talk about. Let's start with something we haven't talked about in a bit, and that is people in the studio. So, we've had the most awesome week we've had in a while in terms of recruiting. We had 4 new people start this week. 4. I mean, actually 4. Human beings. Now, they didn't start in the office, but hey, that's good enough. But yeah, 4 new people. So one is an engineer who's been summering with us the last 2 summers. You've heard me mention him before. Ian, good guy. Number two, a senior engineer, very senior, lots of experience. He joined us on Thursday. His name is Carl. We'll talk about them more. Of all these guys in the coming weeks, but wanted to mention the engineers first. But then the next two might be surprising. So one of the things that people have talked about, with obviously Camelot and with FSR, God, we don't have enough people to do it, and we don't have enough designers to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we brought in, one of the people we brought in was a designer just for FSR. That's one worry that should go away. His name is Alex, a really good guy. He knows some of our guys. And so he started as well this week. Now the fourth guy. So here's one that, you see you backers are going to, I hope, be really happy about. So we added a new senior, an additional senior, game designer. His name is Christopher Jr. Now, if that name rings a bell, it means you either played Rift or maybe you played some SOE games, specifically EverQuest 2. So Chris comes from there. And so, if you look him up, you'll find he likes one thing a lot. Well, he may like other things, but I know he likes one thing a lot in gaming, and that's PvP. So look him up. He was game director, at Tryon, but before that, he was the senior game designer there. His focus, and you're going to love this, is mechanics. Systems and mechanics. Fabulous, right? You'll be seeing him on camera eventually. We're giving him a little time to get up to speed because, frankly, there's a lot to learn. But he's been diving in, as well as Alex and Carl and Ian, into all the things that they need to do to catch up. So, yeah, 4 new people, including 2 game designers, one a very senior game designer with lots of experience in the central focus of CU, PvP. During the interview, one of the first things he said to me, when we were just chatting about, hey, what goes wrong in games, blah, 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 is PvP that is tacked on. So, I knew once he said that, I'm like, okay, I like you already. But yeah, so expect to see him on stream, expect to see a lot of great work from him. Once again, this kind of shows, look, the last month has been just, and still is, a focus on, getting some things in the engine to work the way we need to. On the other hand, we've been saying, hey, we're moving ahead in Spirit Mages. We've been moving ahead on Scouts. We've been moving ahead on other things. And as always, there's some people been concerned. And I understand why. Of course I do. If there's any concern that, we're not making CU or that CU isn't the focus of the studio, what more can I say? We just, brought in, again, a very senior game designer, lots and lots of experience, and, he's now going to do some great stuff with us, on Camelot Unchained. And so, we've got a lot of really good things going on. We have a lot of obviously very talented people, but you can never have too many people. And so, yeah, 4 new people, all in the office, already doing really good work. So that's the first news. All right, good, excited, yes, huh? Especially during all of this time. I mean, I frankly never thought I would go 4 for 4 on bringing in new people with the ones that we really wanted. We had a few other, people in the pipeline, but these were the 4 that we really wanted, and they all came back. They all came to join us this week, and Ian even came back after 2 summers for us. Oh my God, the guy must be insane. So yeah, that's that news. So that being said, let's go to the top. Oh, what are we at today? 21-ish. Okay, so and move the camera over in case it comes up in chat. So number 1, hey, guess what? It was new hires. So that was just be very fast. Number 2, work in progress, tech mesh simplifier. So Lee fixed a long-standing bug in which some of the border edges of the meshes would get inadvertently deformed during the simplification process. Right. So what does that mean? Once again, all of this is for CU and Ragnarok as well, but more CU. Because frankly, CU is that much more complicated pathing system. And it is, as we've said, it is a pain in the ass because you guys can build anywhere, and this thing has to be really, really good about it. And so progress is being made, not quite there yet. Work in progress, tech, store, QA is currently working through the regression testing of the store that Rob has been working on. Our store is so old. How old is it, Bob? I mean, no, the store is really old and does kind of need to be updated for both CU and Ragnarok. Number 4, work in progress, tech, status persistence. For statuses which persist between logins, respawns, and zone transitions, we keep track of the time they are meant to expire and restore from that point. So that's kind of important, obviously. That is a work in progress. Number 5, work in progress, tech, player scale support. Player entities now have a scale modifier which allows them to go bigger or smaller than the default size. Well, you know, we want giants. The giants need to age during the game, so we're working on that. Let me scroll the text down a bit. Okay. Older than that joke? Yes. Probably. Let's see what I say. Number 6, done. Tech. Bug fixes to tags. Anthony has fixed 2 issues with tags. He added a way to pass VFX tags from arbitrary places into statuses to alter what effects they use. Number 7, done. Tech, bug fixes to UI. Boon's hover tooltip used in character creation appear to have existed in wrong layer. Oh, yeah. Ability Builder allowed you to build an ability with invalid components, etc., etc. So yeah, some fixes there. Number 8, work in progress. UI, art, CU HUD reimagination. So Ku has completed his first pass of concept for the HUD reimagination and has moved on to concepting the inventory reimagination. Number 9, work in progress, tech, cube. Brian has been testing the newly created plot and zone import functionality that Matt built for offline building mode. This feature will enable users to bring forward their old cube files into more recent versions of the game client. So, you know, this is took us obviously a little bit of time, but you know what? We thought you folks, people like Treville and Scott and others who have been building for us, you know, they would have liked if we could do it, so we did it. It was worth the time. Our Builders Brigade and others, you know, put a lot of time into stuff, and so, you know, be able to move it forward is a really good thing. Let's see, scrolling down, number 10, done, tech, remote config. For a long time, each of our game server zones has had a little text file. Oh, this is the little text file that could, on its hard drive that encompassed all of its configuration. And these were curated by hand and updated, blah, 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 so we improved the process. Number 11, work in progress, art, scenario defender NPCs. Viking Keeplord is finishing its modeling stage with materials and onward to be rigged. Concept art development and selection has been moving along for the Tower Companions, and modeling will begin on the next set of NPC defenders. Gosh, I wonder if the companions will, you know, stay with the Doctor this time. Number 12, work in progress, art. Crafter barricades and traps. Cloth material barricades and remaining leather material trap set models are wrapping up. Oh, there's a pun there. And set up for in-game use by early next week. Number 13, environment. Performance has been a major focus for the environment team. Particularly recently, we've been working on grass, importing assets to be more efficient and stronger looking. Other things in the last few weeks have included addressing trees. They have to be addressed properly, otherwise they get very upset. Setting up new standards for modeling, spawn values, and fall off of generated assets, and expanding the library of assets, spawned in land generation. What does this all mean? This is all part of, again, making the game look better, making it look like a more modern game, making it lusher, and at the same time, keeping performance in check, because you know what, at the end of the day, I think 99.9% of you would rather have a game that performs well than is the lushest, most dense, populated game of grass that you ever saw. So, we're working on that. Number 14, done. Art animation corrected, travel idle animations. A second pass at retargeting rate, realm, gender, and race travel animations was done. This fixed incorrect pose, posture, fingers, and cape positions. So there's more on that, obviously making the game look better. Done. Art, animation, female travel, and empty hand combat locomotion. Shared locomotion animation files were adjusted to better reflect the female character model. Number 16, art animation, adjusted cape and skirt animations. New flowing cape and skirt animation for all locomotion and weapon permutation animation sets. Number 17, done. Tech, rendering performance. AOIT layer tuning. Did some shader work to collapse together the layers for order independent transparency. This cuts GPU memory bandwidth requirements for rendering transparent objects in half. And that improves performance, especially on lower end video cards. That was one of the things we've been working on. We still have more to do. But, look, we had you guys come in, you tested, we got the feedback, we're making changes. So, lots of improvements, more coming. Number 18, done. Tech, rendering performance. Imposter quality. At long distances, we replace complex but non-moving objects with tiny pictures of those objects, etc. We've talked about what an imposter is before. And getting them to work properly, getting them to look good when they go from one model to another is, an ongoing issue for all modern games. And ours just gets better and better. Number 19, tech, done. Rendering performance, imposter speed. Previously, we would store cards with all the angles of an imposter as a tiny mesh in the scene and a vertex shader which set most of them not to draw. Now we use a geometry shader to admit only the card that faces you. And an engineer wrote that. Once again, I know who did it. Once again, this is good stuff. I mean, it sounds, oh boy, a little bit dense, but it actually is just a little bit dense. What it means, once again, with imposters, getting them to look better, getting them to render faster, getting, as number 20 talks about concurrent sorting, it's all about doing things with objects in a distance. As you guys know who've been playing the game, we don't cull. The draw distance on this thing is over 4 kilometers. It's not like some games where you don't see anything beyond a certain distance, or you only see the super big, images. You can be sitting and on a clear day, you can literally see forever. So there's a price for that. And the price is, of course, in FPS. So what we have to do, like anyone else who's, either using an existing rendering engine or building a rendering engine, you've got to get it to be as efficient as possible, look as as good as possible and to be as fast. And that's one of the things that Andrew's been focused on, and it's coming along really nicely, which brings us to number 21, done. Tech, client stalls and hangs. Worked around the deep bug in our low-level threading library, which occasionally could cause stalls on a client. Sometimes these would last a few milliseconds within a frame, so fixing them improves the consistency of the frame rate, but they could result in a permanent hang. So for a lot of you folks who played in the last few tests, and this, this is for the engine, so it also applies to Ragnarok as well, but our focus was CU, is that you saw things like micro stutters or, longer stutters, and you were wondering about them. At least some of the cause could have been this. I know I saw it in the various tests I ran on both CU and on Ragnarok, and, now it's a lot better. Not perfect yet, but a lot better. And the crashes that we were getting, the ones that were tied to this, haven't had one since. So look, a really good, update, right? 4 new people joining the studio, 2 engineers, 2 designers, one a very seasoned veteran guy who knows and loves PvP. It's not that the other designer isn't good. He is really good. But he's for Ragnarok. Chris, is for CU. And given his experience, he's, a great addition to the team. So that's where we're at. Work continues on performance. I'll get an update after this, see how we're doing in terms of a test. It's so much harder to do that than it used to be while we're living at home. My rig here, which is one of the bellwethers, for the studio, I'll go in, I'll play matches on my machine, and if it's not good, then, we usually don't have a test. Here it's harder because I got a really shitty connection, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's just weird. But yeah, a great update, and ready to take some questions. There's the release date, when it's ready. Same thing I've been saying. When will we see the next 90-day plan? Any test this weekend? I don't know. I will know certainly when I get back to the camera. In terms of the next 90-day plan, we're hoping next week. There's been a lot of moving parts with this one, just like the last one. We don't want to put down a 90-day plan. Like the 4 new people who joined the studio. So it's kind of hard, to make a 90-day plan when you have to now change it because people coming in. So, Trevio, when will we see the NPC guards, not keyboards, go into the game? That's, part of it to do. Part of it has to do. There we go. With obviously pathfinding. But hopefully it won't be too long on that. Swipper, do you have any estimate when this will be open to backers? So we were doing some stuff on the Linux server, over the last 48 hours. They're looking good, so we're getting there. Weasel Soup, basic product management should always have a 90-day plan. Well, we did. And so here's the thing. When you're a small company with 1 producer who's managing 2 games, as well as Cube, working remotely, it's not as easy to make plans as it might be under the best of circumstances. Since, if you go back and whether you look at Mythic or you look at most other game studios, just check the credits. They have a lot of producers. We have 1. And so it isn't easy to constantly make plans. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you look at our team, there are very few people there that are actually management in the sense of that is all they do. They also engineer. They also art. And so, when you have a studio, and Old Mythic was like this as well, when you have a studio where almost everybody is not management and not production, making a plan takes them out of doing what they need to do. And because so much of it can be quite fluid, depending on what happens in the plan before, it can be a wasted effort. So, sure, if we had another few producers and if we had another few, folks who literally just managed the team, if we had a producer just for the art team, if we had, a lead engineer who wasn't also engineering, then they could put the plans together more easily. But we don't have that. Almost everyone on the team, including yours truly, is also doing development work. So I know, and I agree with you that it would be better if we could make them faster, Weasel. But again, all you have to do is look at any game company, look at the credits, look at how many producers they have. And that's one of the reasons. Now, we don't have that, so, it takes longer.